You will see Moses in pictures and paintings and sculptures. Moses has horns. And it's been all around the world. People have wondered, why is it Moses, he has horns? And it's interesting to understand what the horns represent on Moses. The horns of Moses, and you will see that there was in the ancient world, at Moses' time, in that ancient time, there was a moon god, and the moon god's name was Sin, and he was always represented by the lower quarter of the moon. And so the lower quarter of the moon was used as a symbol for moon worship. And they had goddesses of moon worship, which you have. Also, in Rome, you had moon gods. The Native Americans also have horns because they counted their days by many moons. Their days were like the Hebrews today. After 6 o'clock began a new day. Well, the same thing with the Native Americans. So all of these people from the ancient Hebrews to the Native Americans were using a lunar calendar. Lunar simply meaning the moon, and so the symbol for the lunar was the horns of the bull, or the horns which the Vikings used. This is a symbol for the lunar symbol, which you'll find everywhere in different religions. These are the horns that Moses wore. Here in Israel, you'll see carvings of the arms raised to raise and to praise the moon. And Egyptian paintings show the moon. The Blessed Mother in Christianity stands on the moon. You'll see the moon everywhere in the ancient world of religion, which was showing us that the moon was very important, even at the time of Moses in Egypt. Moon worship was very prominent. And of course today, the Islamic world still uses the moon also. And in the Western world, the moon is still used as a symbol. We're talking about a moon cult many thousands of years ago in Egypt, of which Moses was the leader of the Hebrew people, which were worshipers of the moon at that time. If you go on the web and just type in moon god Sin, it will have all kinds of information showing you about how the moon was a very important part of worship in the ancient world. And they will also tell you that Moses was a leader of a lunar cult. There's a lot of information about the moon cult and the moon god, Yahweh or Allah. Here is a classic example in the ancient world of the moon god Sin. The god himself, his name was called Sin. And in the ancient world, Ai was a mountain in the times of ancient Egypt. Ai was a mountain, and so we have this moon god Sin in the mountain, Ai, and put it together and becomes Sinai. So Mount Sinai is actually, the moon god Sin in the mountain of Sinai. Well, Mount Sinai today is felt to be the center for and the really foundation for the Jewish religion as it began to spread throughout the Middle East. Mount Sinai was where God met with Moses. God met with his people at Mount Sinai. But Mount Sinai is actually Sin Ai. It was just one of many reference works. This is by an Andrew Kay from the Southern Methodist University. His article is Traces of the Worship of the Moon God Sin Among the Early Israelites. The Jewish tradition talks about the combination of the heavenly moon as a part of the most important part of the Jewish worship at that time. There are many symbols and emblems and paintings showing Moses in relation to the moon. And so here is pictures of a priest lighting a fire to signal a new moon. Here you will see an illustration of the Israelites and their worship of the moon, the prayer to the new moon. And below you will see sanctification of the new moon. This is from Amsterdam as far back as 1723, showing the importance still in the worship of Israel for the new moon, or for the moon. Above you will see the new moon etching from a book back in 1748, showing the Jews celebrating the new moon. Today, the new moon is still very important around the world to many cultures. And here we have a picture of Egypt and the Sinai. And down toward the bottom of the Sinai, there was a huge mountain range. And so here we see a better picture where Mount Sinai is referred to in the area of the wilderness of Sin. And Sin, of course, is the moon god. Sin is originally the moon god of the Arabic world. Allah and Sin and Moses with Yahweh, it all had to do with the worship of the moon god Sin. For some reason, the ancient Arabic world placed a very high respect on the moon. It's probably based on some phenomena that the new moon caused, because the Arabic world and the ancient world in general realized that the moon has a huge effect on our bodies. It has an effect on our food supply, and it pulls the oceans of the world. And so the moon was very important to the ancient world. I mean, that is a whole study in itself, why the ancient Arabic world had such a reverence for the moon. They always used the moon to keep the track of days, because their days started at sundown, at 6 o'clock. Because why? Because that's when the moon comes out. While the Christians were worshiping and having their holidays and important times in their religion, on Sunday they were worshiping worshiping the Son of God. The ancient Arabic world and the ancient Hebrews were under the influence of the moon god. The Christians, as you know, have a sun calendar, and their days start from sun to sun, while the Hebrews in the ancient Arabic world had a lunar calendar, which counts their days from sundown to sundown. The moon, as it comes up, and it was referred to as the lunar god who lived in a mountain, and the real Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai itself was understood to be a volcano. And this is why when Moses goes up into the Mount Sinai to get the new 10 Commandments from God, he is confronted by the mountain is on fire. And so anytime you have a mountain on fire, that happens if you have a volcano. And so Mount Sinai was known, and is even today recognized as being probably connected to volcano worship also. And so this is why Moses goes up and he sees the mountain on fire and he talks to God. And the scriptures, even in the Old Testament, the Bible says that the ancient Hebrews were frightened when they would hear the thunder in the mountain, because they said thunder was a word we call thunder, but the ancient Hebrews said it was the voice of God. He's talking to them. And he had lightning, and that was trying to get their attention. So God was very angry and very upset with the Jewish people, because it was like a mountain on fire. Well, of course, we're talking about a volcano. So Moses becomes important in volcano worship also. Here you will see Moses pictures. These are all pictures from Christian and Jewish publications showing Moses going up into the mountain, and it appears to be a volcano. Well, it's because it was a volcano. Here we have a Jewish publication showing the children of Israel running away when they hear God thundering in the mountain. It looks like a volcano. All of the pictures of Moses going up into the mountain to get the 10 Commandments always shows the mountain on fire. All right, so here we have Moses preparing to go up to the mountain to get the new 10 Commandments from God. And that appears to be a volcano. Here is a particular religious celebration. It's called the Feast of the Giving of the Law. And in the Hebrew reference works, you look up the celebration of the Feast of the Giving of the Law, and what do you see but a volcano? So the word volcano comes from a Latin volcano god called Vulcan, or Volcanus. It's derived from an old Cretan deity, Volcanus. Here is the old volcano god Vulcan. And it was always because the people were frightened to death at the thunder and the lightning that was caused by the volcano. And they thought it was God talking to them. And so then we talk about Prometheus, was another ancient god about the time, was also a volcano god who was worshipped and took him to Greece, while Yahweh was a volcano god who the worshipers took him back to Judah. And this is again why Moses encountered God in the burning bush, and it seems as not only the burning bush, the whole mountain was on fire. Yahweh was worshipped by the Jews as a volcano god and a lunar deity, and there's a lot of interesting connections with the ancient world religions that it's not that easy to explain how all of these pieces came together to form a particular religion. It says in one of the reference books, it says, yet the original Yahweh seems to have begun as a volcano god also. Mount Sinai, where Moses encountered him, was the seat of a Midianite god who had formerly dwelt in a volcano. Here we have Moses getting the law from God, and you'll see the lightning and the fire and the thunder and the lightning all around him. So Moses was involved in a lot of things, a lot of stuff in the Bible that Moses is involved with. We just don't understand the implications of it. I'm Jordan Maxwell, and thank you for watching.